Good morning. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Janne Seren, and I have the honor of serving as the Peggy Pierce Elfin Director of the Buffalo AKG Art Museum. We are gathered here today for a celebratory announcement, but before we get to that, I would like to focus our attention for a few moments on the snow emergency that over the past few days has impacted thousands of people in our community. As those of us who live here know all too well, sometimes the cold air of winter combines with the warm waters of the Great Lakes, arguably our most precious natural resource, and produces lake effect snow. This phenomenon may not be unique to Western New York, but here it is often uniquely severe. The snowfall produced by lake effect snow is unlike any I've ever witnessed. And trust me, as a native of Finland, a land of snow, I have seen my fair share of it. But during challenges and hard times, the human spirit also has the opportunity to prevail. Over the past 48 hours, I've heard countless stories of Buffalonians sharing their snowblowers, their shovels, and their energy to take care of one another. Buffalo is a city of good neighbors, and I've never seen more neighborly collaboration than what I see here each day. To our neighbors, our friends at the Birchfield Penny Art Center, thank you for overcoming the obstacles of opening your doors this morning to host this momentous occasion. Our Governor, Kathy Hochul, wanted very much to be here with us today to share some exciting news with you. Her first responsibility, however, is to the people who need New York State's support during this challenging moment, and I salute her and her colleagues. Jen Dunning, Western New York Regional Representative, is here today representing the Governor after spending her entire weekend managing emergency operations. Thank you, Jen. So, I am here today to share the following good news with you, news that the Governor also had hoped to share with you from this podium. The Buffalo AKG Art Museum closed for construction in November 2019. During the past 3 years, we have been building a museum of and for the people, with the help of hundreds of private individuals, corporations, foundations, and all levels of government. We've weathered all sorts of obstacles during the period of construction, ranging from a global pandemic to severe disruptions in the supply chain of goods and materials. But here in Western New York, our work and efforts are defined by our grit, our will not to give up even when curveball after curveball comes flying our way. I am truly delighted to announce on this 21st day of November 2022 that the Buffalo AKG Art Museum will open its doors on May 25th, 2023. As we stand on the threshold of opening the doors of your new museum, I'm also delighted to share the news that with the vision and leadership of Governor Hochul, New York State has made an additional investment of $20 million in this city's future. This extraordinary commitment brings to a close the Buffalo AKG's capital campaign. At $230 million, this is the largest capital campaign for a cultural institution in the history of Western New York. Governor Hochul, you carried us over the finish line, and we will never forget that. Thanks to your vision and leadership, Thanks to Jeffrey Gunlock and thanks to hundreds of individuals, foundations, and partners in government, we got the job done. When it opens next spring, the Buffalo AKG will be more inclusive, more welcoming, and more enjoyable than ever before. We will be able to share with our diverse audiences hundreds of masterworks from our world-renowned collection, while simultaneously presenting cutting-edge special exhibitions, fun and engaging public programs, classes and workshops for all ages and all levels of ability, performances, screenings, and so much more. And all this will be offered on a new museum campus composed of 3 buildings, a stunning demonstration of the synergistic power of uniting art and architecture. The project's lead architect, Shohei Shigematsu, and his team at OMA have designed facilities so beautiful they are rivaled only by the artworks on the Buffalo AKG's walls. The realization of an architect's vision requires the collaboration of countless professionals in a wide array of fields and disciplines. I would like to recognize Jason Cadaret of Cooper Robertson, our executive architect, the stellar team at ARC Building Partners, our owner's representative, and of course, Gilbane Building Company and the many trades that work under their supervision. Under Gilbane's leadership, hundreds of talented, hard-working individuals have swung steel and glass, poured concrete, and installed complex electrical and climate control systems, giving physical shape to the architect's vision. Gilbane, you have changed and continue to change the fabric of our region's built environment. Thank you. My team and I, together with the Buffalo AKG's amazing board of directors, have looked forward to this day for many years. In just 6 short months, our dreams will become a reality, and we will be able to invite Buffalo and the world beyond to experience the magic and wonder of art on a new stage in a museum that knits together the aspirations of our community. As we look toward May 2023, we know, of course, that much work remains before us. I am confident, however, that together we will get there. We will get there because when people are committed to a task and believe in it with all their heart and mind, when they set their doubts aside and embrace challenges as opportunities, we can move mountains. When Carol Gunlock, years ago, visited the Albright Knox with her young son Jeffrey, I am sure she did not anticipate the impact those visits would eventually have on our community. And yet, like sparks that catalyze innovation, those youthful trips to his hometown museum radiated through the decades and resulted in a historic act of philanthropy and generosity. From the get-go, with his characteristic prescience and wisdom, Jeffrey Gunlock stipulated that his matching challenges could only be achieved if the museum raised a combination of private and public funds. His goal was to ensure that the creation of the Buffalo AKG, that museum there, had truly broad support, that every level of government understood the significance of this project and of the museum as a major economic impact driver. Here, it is important to remember that the economic impact of the Buffalo AKG's construction project is around $300 million in New York State. Our partners in government rose to the challenge, and together we broke records and met Jeffrey's challenges, which amounted to $65 million in personal gifts from him to Jeffrey. To Jeffrey Gunlock and his wife Barbara, to the entire Gunlock family, thank you for giving us the support we needed to think big and to reach for the stars. The support of County Executive Mark Poloncarz and the Erie County Legislature has been invaluable to this museum for years. As an artist himself, Mark understands so well the ways in which art can transform lives. When Jeffrey first issued his matching challenge in the summer of 2016, Erie County was among the first to respond to the call. Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Erie County. Now, the county executive also wanted to be here today, but he too is leading the efforts of emergency services across Erie County. Our Mayor, Byron Brown, has led this city through challenges and tragedies into its most sustained period of economic resurgence in many decades. I thank you, Mayor Brown, your administration, and the Buffalo Common Council for your steadfast support. It is thanks to you that when we open next spring, we will have pristine sidewalks, a beautiful landscape setting as an extension of Delaware Park, and easy access for people who will use public transport to visit the Buffalo AKG. I would also like to thank Senator Chuck Schumer, Congressman Brian Higgins, New York State Majority Leader Crystal Peoples-Stokes, New York State Senator Sean Ryan, and New York State Senator Tim Kennedy for their tireless efforts and advocacy. They have always championed the expansion of the Buffalo AKG in our community and far beyond its borders. They understand the value of art as a fundamental human right. Finally, I would like to thank our board of directors, our board president, Alice Jacobs, and the truly amazing, amazing staff at the Buffalo AKG. Under Alice's thoughtful leadership, the board has stewarded our 160-year-old museum into the future with grace and foresight. When the Buffalo AKG opens on May 25th next year, continue to be a team effort in every sense of the word. It is the greatest honor of my professional life to be a part of this team, to be a Buffalonian. Thank you. It is now my great honor to welcome New York State Senator Sean Ryan to the podium to share a few words. Sean.
It's good to see so many people were able to get out today, right? On behalf of so many people in state and local government who can't be with us today because they're engaged in the aftermath of the storm, Governor Hochul, County Executive Polenkars, those two, they actually get to direct the snowplows. Senator Kennedy and I, we can make advice on where to put the snowplows, but they don't have to listen to us. So thank you to the executives for doing their good work. So Yanni started with his curveball analogy, so I'll figure I have to keep going on that, riff on that a little bit. So when you're facing a curveball, you don't know if that ball is really going to hit you or it's going to break back in. And a lot of people don't really like that feeling, and they don't want to stand in the box as that ball is coming towards you. But with Yanni, we have a leader who is fearless, and boy, he never jumped out of that box, even when we started hitting some obstacles on this project. But the community was behind this project from day one, but it was only because of how the Albright Knox and the leadership chose to address it. They didn't say to the community, here's what we're doing. They said to the community, what do you want to do with your art museum? You want to leave it the same? You want to do a rehab job on it? You want to move it? You want to build a new one? And they went all around the community so strategically throughout Erie County and the 8 counties of Western New York. So they were truly driven by the public's vision of what they wanted. And you see over my left shoulder, it's the public's visions being realized. And because it's the public's vision, there's a whole lot of public support going to this project. Started with a much smaller project where Yanni and his team came to visit me and said, we'd like to keep this sort of percentage going of public versus private. Now that was an easier job when it was a much smaller whole number. But as that number kept growing, we kept having to come back to the table. And between the Assembly and the Senate and the governor, we came back over and over again. And each time we presented this to a greater group in Albany, everybody saw the significance of it right away. Not only it is the construction jobs, of course, that give the immediate boost to our economy, but after the Albright Knox is done, it's going to be what it's always been. It's something that separates us from other cities our size. People would trade a lot for our collection, but guess what? We have it, and we're not trading it, and we're going to have a nice new house for it. And can't thank the Albright and their team so much for the work you've done throughout this project. Some of the obstacles, of course, Mr. Wilmers was one of the early champions of this project. He passed away during it. Thought, are we going to be able to, continue the project going? Jeffrey Gunlock and his family reaffirmed and stepped up their commitment as we moved along. And I know they're watching today, and I want to thank them for the hard work and the dedication they've showed on this project. We're super proud of everything that's gone together. I live in the neighborhood. I walk by, I walk my dog by, ride my bike by, drive by, and it was just remarkable watching the project come together over the last few months. And there's two people I was not jealous of the last few months, and that's the operating engineers who are moving those big pieces of glass around. And then the second is the glazers who are up there really high receiving that glass. But each day the puzzle came together a little bit more and a little bit more, but it's been a great collaborative effort, and I'm so happy to have played one part in it. And before I stop, I do want to talk about the significance of architecture in Buffalo. So often when we speak of Buffalo as a great architectural city, we're talking about the rear view mirror. The buildings we built 100 years ago, the buildings we built 150 years ago. There's few examples of post-World War II architecture in Buffalo that really stand out as nationally, internationally noteworthy. But I'm happy that we have one more example to add to our great palette of architecture in the city of Buffalo, a modern project that shows that Buffalo's embracing of architectural excellence is not in the rearview mirror, but it's looking out the front windshield. And we hope this influences project all around the city so we can keep the mantle of having a community that's full of significant architectural resources. So thanks everyone here as the part that they played to make this happen. And the only piece of advice I would have given Yanni if he called me first is, oh, a hard date? You have a hard opening date? You're giving me agita just thinking of a hard date. You could have said we're going to do it May-ish or June-ish, but you had to give the hard date. So you keep staying in that batter's box. You might be aiming the curveballs at you, but God bless you for doing it. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you, Sean, and thank you for donning a hard hat many times this year to keep an eye on the project. I'm sure you'll be continuing on that track as we march towards May 25th, 2023. Your generous allocation is enabling us to shore up critical elements of the historic Wilmers and Knox buildings. Those elements of the projects were beyond the scope of our project initially, but thanks to you, they are now a part of it. When the Buffalo AKG opens next spring, each of the buildings will be in pristine conditions, and that's thanks to you. You understand the architectural value of this community better than most, that you are a student of architecture, but you also live it. You understand its significance, and I truly appreciate that. It is now my great honor and privilege to welcome to the podium New York State Senator Tim Kennedy. Tim, you have a way of convening disparate voices towards a shared goal. Thank you for all your leadership this year, and thank you also for connecting communities in Buffalo and far beyond Buffalo.
Well, good morning, everyone. I am incredibly honored to be here with you this morning as we celebrate this amazing goal achieved here at AKG. First, let me start by thanking the leadership here at Birchfield Penny Art Center for hosting us here this morning. It is a blustery day outside. Opening up the doors was not easy, but you did it. I want to recognize, so many to recognize, and I'm going to take a moment to do just that today because I think it's very important. As my colleague, Senator Sean Ryan mentioned, Mayor Byron Brown and County Executive Polin Cars out there on the front lines, making sure that the streets are cleared and we continue to recover from this storm. I want to recognize my colleague, Senator Ryan, whose district we are in, who is constantly advocating for not just the district, but for visionary projects within the district. So, Senator Ryan, thank you for your leadership in Albany and your continued leadership here in Buffalo. And as Yanni pointed out, Senator Ryan secured some significant funding that's going to further enhance this AKG project once it opens May, what's the date, 25th? May 25th, 2023. I like hard dates. A few other folks that I want to recognize, the board president and the head of the campaign, Alice Jacobs, for her incredible determination in bringing people together in her advocacy. Jillian Jones, the Director of Advancement at AKG. My great friend and extraordinary leader in our community, Jack O'Donnell, who represents AKG as a lobbyist in government relations. I think it would be fair to say that the leadership of Jeffrey Gundlach, his wife Barbara, represented today by his brother Drew and sister-in-law Sandy Gundlach, remembering where they came from as Buffalonians, the wonderful Buffalo story that can be told around this generational project is so unique and so special. It just really warms the heart. Thank you to the Gundlach family, particularly the leadership of Jeffrey Gundlach and the amazing, generous donation and vision that he brought to us and the path that he laid down for us to all follow. What can I say about our great friend and leader here, the director, Yanni Seren? The only thing that was more difficult than jumping out of airplanes as a special op for the Finnish army was getting this project done. And without Yanni Seren, there is no question in my mind we would not be here today. Yanni, your leadership is second to none. When we are able to advocate to government, to the private sector, when we come together as a community to put together, and the number keeps growing now, $230 million, that just doesn't happen on its own. It starts with a leader. It starts with a leader with guts, with vision, with focus, and with absolute integrity and honor. And that is who Yanni Seren is. He embodies all of those things. Yanni, thank you so much for everything that you've done for us. To the AKG board, to the leadership of the board, I can't thank you enough. Our community thanks you for everything that you do to bring the funding together, to bring the leaders together, to make this project, which isn't just of local significance and statewide significance, this is a national and international project. This project here is going to bring international attention to Buffalo, New York, a continued growth of our community to the global community, a continued focus that will bring not just attention, but will bring investment. It will bring people from all over the world to Buffalo, to the city of good neighbors. And it is just an amazing opportunity that we are all here together to celebrate this generational investment. And how do we get here today? We get here from the generous, heartfelt donations from the Western New York community, from the global community, putting Buffalo on a scale second to none on the international community as it pertains to arts and what we have to offer the world. The only way we can do this is by having that public-private partnership. You know, when Senator Ryan and myself and Majority Leader Crystal Peoples-Stokes and our colleagues in government from the Western New York delegation go to Albany to advocate for funding, we need partners, we need leaders, we need people that will listen to us and that will actually pay attention to the needs of our community. We have that with Governor Kathy Hochul. Governor Hochul is the reason today we are able to seal the deal on this project. The fact that Governor Hochul has included tens of millions of dollars to help top off the AKG fundraising effort and allow Yanni to announce a May 25th, 2023 opening is just so amazing and tremendous that when the people of our community look back on this day and on the announcement that we're making today, we will all recognize that this is one of those moments in time that we can all be proud of. And when you think about the snapshots that we see when the Albright Gallery went in over 100 years ago, and the Albright Knox Gallery went in 50 years or so later, and then here we are in 2022, soon to be 2023, when this generation will make good on our commitment to Buffalo, to the artistic community, and to making sure that Buffalo leads the international community, where we can all look back with pride that we were all a part of it. So I am honored to stand here before you today. Thank you all for allowing me to be a part of this as a member of the New York State Senate. Thank you all for your leadership. Thank you to the AKG group, the staff that works every day. Thank you to the construction workers that when I put the hard hat on last year and went through, I knew that construction was not a job for me. I was out in these elements, in the freezing cold, with those hard-working men and women that are putting this project together, and we owe them a debt of gratitude for all of their work and labor in making this happen. So again, thank you so much. And one more person I want to recognize, because he's a great leader in our community. He's a great friend of mine. We know him as a leader of our city for many years. He's now a leader across New York State, and that's my great friend, Tony Masiello. Thank you, Tony, for being a part of this here as well today. Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, Senator Kennedy. Dear friends, this brings our program to a close. If you see my family leaving, it's not because they're bored, but they have a flight to catch. Have a good trip. Thank you for your hearty souls for joining us this morning. Please join us across the street at Clifton Hall for a light reception and a moment to celebrate. We'll all be there. There's refreshments, some food, good times. Thank you for being here today.